Now, a Washington state farming advocacy group called Save Family Farming has been bringing to light a Yakima based activist organization called We Are Ella. They received a $500,000 in Climate Commitment Act funds and then used some of that funding for political attacks on farms across Washington state. So they contend that the Save Family Farming Group contends that We Are Ella is getting the money that you're spending at the gas pump. You recall the CCA spiked our gas prices more than 50 cents for every gallon is going to that funding. And then again, some of it is doled out to these activist organizations. In this case, a group that is making a lot of claims about farming and the egg community in central and eastern Washington that Save Family Farming contends are simply untrue, absolutely false. And so I had a conversation with Save Family Farming's executive director, Ben Tyndall.
Or late last year, we saw some videos that they were producing coming out on their social media page that really presented a disparaging or false story about dairies in particular, jumping to some conclusions without really any science provided or citing any sources directly in their videos, putting the blame on agriculture. When there are a vast array, if anyone has looked at air quality, water quality, there are a lot of reasons or factors that play into this. And it is, from our perspective, very disingenuous to put all the blame on one sector, really, that shouldn't or is undeserving. As they were presenting this manipulative or false message, they would then put the Department of Health logo at the end of their video, which caused us to really question, is this, from our perspective, this propaganda something that really is being sponsored by the Department of Health? About a couple weeks ago, we finally received a response from the Department of Health, in essence saying they have reviewed the videos in question. They reached out to We Are Aya. They have requested that those videos be removed or adjusted to remove the logo, and that they are assuring us that they did not sponsor this, while at the same time acknowledging, yes, We Are Aya did receive a grant for nearly $500,000 to craft videos, and in their words, um, community storytelling around issues of environmental justice. What kind of enforcement do they have around ensuring that these grant dollars are being utilized the way that they're intended, and that their official logo is not being misused to manipulate or misrepresent? And so they shared with us that we've reached out to We Are Aya. We've confirmed that this material has been removed, and yet you can still go on their site, the We Are AO Facebook page, their social media. The videos are still up.
So Save Family Farming saw this stuff months ago and said, "Hey, wait a minute. I see the Department of Health's logo stamped all over some of this material that's blasting, family farmers and the egg community in Washington. CCA money being used to attack farmers in the state of Washington." They went to Attorney General um I started to say Bob Ferguson, Attorney General Nick Brown's office with some of their concerns. And they also alerted the Department of Health and said, "Hey, wait a minute, what's going on?" Wasn't until about 2 weeks ago, and this was 6 months ago when they brought the concerns to light. 2 weeks ago, Tyndall says they finally received a response, basically with the Department of Health saying, "Yes, we gave this money to We Are Ella. Yes, we are aware that some of that was going to be used for what they call community storytelling around issues of environmental justice." At the time, the Department of Health told Save Family Farming, and I've seen the emails, we've told We Are Ella to get the Department of Health logo off of any of their material, go back and remove those videos, change any promotional material that you have that says this is basically, got the sign of approval from the Department of Health. And Save Family Farming was told that that had happened, but it hasn't. I saw at least 2 posts today where the Department of Health logo remains on some of that material. And Tyndall says his overarching concern from Save Family Farming is that state lawmakers, including those who back the CCA and decided how funding could be used, really don't understand the struggles for Washington's farming community.
This breakdown between our legislators and those who are making the policy not understanding or having a real grasp on how agriculture operates and the seasonality components of it really has created a detrimental overtime system that is hurting farms that really aren't seeing help there. Another is this CCA component where farms were guaranteed at the beginning that they would be exempt from that fuel tax, and as we've seen over the past several years, that has turned into a fiasco, and so many farmers are paying now very astronomical prices on fuel for farm use when they should be exempt. And the state is doing a horrible job of helping and ensuring that farmers are receiving this exemption that by law they are required to, but the state has just kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, well, we don't know how to do it, so sorry. And that should never have been acceptable, and that has really been detrimental to farms.
Now, I did reach out to We Are Ella and the Department of Health, got no response from We Are Ella. The Department of Health responded with an email to say the timeline was too short and they would not be able to meet our timeline ahead of publication for our article or for today's episode of Washington in Focus. If and when they do provide comment, the story will be updated and we'll bring you that information. Then there's Representative Tom Dent, Moses Lake. He's a rancher about 7 miles outside of Moses Lake. He's got a ranch where he raises bison and grows hay. He's been speaking out about some of these issues for quite some time and told me he was not at all surprised to find out that some CCA funding is going to an activist organization that is using some of that material to rail against farmers and the egg community in Washington.
The state of Washington just seems to have this war on agriculture, and they just want to attack us for everything we do because, everything is bad, right? Fertilizer is bad. Any pesticides we use are bad. This growing crops destroys the soil. We can't have a dairy because we're going to get in the groundwater. So we have all this nitrogen, quote, going into the groundwater. But by the same token, drive by on a rainy day, drive by somebody's corral where they got horses or cows and tell me how much water's out there. Well, all that mud and water's in there because I have a pond over here. I sealed it with manure, so I can keep the water in it. And it works good. I have water in there all winter long. Okay. So, I mean, they just have this war on agriculture, and it doesn't surprise me that somebody hasn't filtered some way to get money, to continue this war. And I mean, cows are bad up in the mountains. They can't go in the streams. They got to fence everything off. I mean, because they might put some excretions into the stream, although it's okay if deer and elk and everybody else does, but cows can't, right? So because they're part of agriculture, and I'm telling, it's just so frustrating that we can't understand where our food comes from, right? I mean, it's like you like eating, but I guess you're going to grow it in a test tube. I don't know. We have overregulated them. Uh, we make them do things that other states don't have to do. We have all this agriculture overtime in place now. Our labor costs are like 400% higher than the rest of the country. How are we going to make any money? When you tell the rancher he's got to fence off this creek, well, it doesn't seem like much, except when you start adding up the miles of fence, it gets to be quite a lot, right? And so, to buy the materials, buy the labor, put it in. I mean, all that stuff happens, and it all takes money, and it doesn't stop. Uh, and right now, in 2026, started in 2024, when our agriculture really hit the bottom. This is as bad as agriculture has been in 100 years, but they don't care.
Representative Dent has also spent quite a bit of time working on mental health issues for those in the farming community, and especially here in Washington state. The egg community and farmers in general nationwide have some of the highest suicide rates and have for many, many years among many industries. The financial struggles are a big part of that. And Representative Dent says that, the burdens that have been placed on farmers and egg producers with the additional regulations, labor costs that are required to be exponentially higher than in many other states. He believes that is in large part contributing to the mental health decline. And I think we covered this in a recent episode of Washington in Focus, that we're losing 3 to 4 farms in the state of Washington every single day at this point. And again, the conclusion here from Representative Dent and the Save Family Farming folks are that, the state needs to pay more attention to the plight of our farmers. They're the ones putting food in our local grocery stores, and they're not making very much money doing it um, at this rate. So, again, if Ella sends another response, or the Department of Health does, we will bring you that update. So that is it for today's episode of Washington in Focus Daily for this Wednesday, April the 29th of 2026. As always, thank you for watching. Tune in again tomorrow.